So, thank you for coming. And my topic is somewhat similar, just in a slightly different version of listening to yourself. And there will be a couple of times when I'll ask you to close your eyes and try to feel things and to visualize things. And the reason why I want you to do it is that as a teacher or as an instructor, what I realized in the past is that I can't make anyone do anything. I can't tell you what's better to do for your body. I can tell you what works for somebody else, but it's not guarantee that you'll go and start doing it. But at the same time, if that comes to you internally through feeling something and then coming to the conclusion from the inside, then the likelihood of the change is much more. So as a teacher, my hope is that I will be able to create that shift of perception or that feeling internally that will help you to realize something that you didn't realize before. So we'll start with a little exercise. Close your eyes. And try to roll with this one. It's not going to be the most pleasant one. But still, it's useful. Close your eyes. And imagine being in a relationship where your partner doesn't value your opinion, doesn't listen to you. He tells you what to do, when to do, how to do, and expects you to do just that. There's no option for you to share your opinion. There's no option for you to do something different. The worst thing is that you can't leave this relationship. This is the only relationship you will have in your life. You're fully committed to this relationship. You do all it takes to make it work every single day, hoping that at some point your partner will change his mind. You might be surprised, but unfortunately, most of us live in this relationship our entire life. We are born into it, and this is the only lifelong relationship that we have in our life. And this is a relationship between our body and our mind. And you can open your eyes. So today I want to share a framework and an invitation to start exploring this relationship between our body and mind, and hopefully find a way to make peace in this relationship. Because I believe that this relationship with ourselves is the most sacred of all. It influences all aspects of our life. It influences our relationships with other people. And if there is lack of trust, lack of integrity, then it's really hard to be happy with yourself, really hard to be confident in your body. And it brings you to a state of constant struggle. And I'm sure for women, for most women, it's a very familiar state. We make promises to each other, to our mind, and then we can't hold them. And then we always keep looking for things in our body that we want to fix, that we wish were different, that we wish were better. And there's always that internal struggle that we end up living in. So my mission for the last couple of years was to support women in building a better understanding and trust in this important relationship. And what I've seen in my work with women is that most women don't trust their body so much that they're afraid to let go of the reins of logic and let the body lead them in their choices around food and exercise. Most women, and if you're honest with yourself, if you really check in with yourself, most women think if at some point, if they trust their body fully and their body is in control of what to eat, what to do, how much to exercise, they'll just lay on the couch and eat ice cream all day. And they'll gain weight and there will be no muscle, and basically the whole body is just going to put them into this state where they're not attractive, they're not lovable, and they shouldn't be going outside because of how bad they look. But in reality, that's not the case. But at the same time, nobody actually knows, because there are very, very few people who trust their body to the point where they see what's actually going to happen if they do trust it. What we do instead, and what we're taught to do since we are kids, is to put our trust into the experts, outside experts. And when we grow up, we are told that there are people who know our body much better than we do. They know what we should be eating. They know how we should be eating. They know everything that we shouldn't be eating. And we have doctors, we have nutritionists, we have fitness experts, and they're all full of knowledge about your body without ever having lived in it. And if you look at most of the advice out there, it's usually based on the personal experience of somebody living in their body, finding something that works for their body, and then making an assumption that it's going to work for yours as well. And because there's so much fear and so much distrust to our own body, we take somebody's advice and we try to follow it. We try to follow it the best way we can. But what ends up happening is that our body resists something that doesn't fit it. So we try to follow the rules until the body resists so much that we end up breaking all the rules and going all out on either food or just not moving for weeks, because your body is trying to send you a sign that this is not what fits. But at the same time, logically, we think, well, if he has a PhD and he's telling me that this is good for me and that's not good for me, who is my body to know that this is not the case? So the authority that we give to our body is very low compared to the outside experts. And what I notice in a lot of women who come to be very disappointed with themselves for not being able to follow the rules and not for achieving the results that are promised to them for following the rules, is that they end up with a host of bad habits, or habits that are showing that there's no integrity between their logical beliefs or logical knowledge and things that actually feel good for their body. And that leads to binging, it leads to on and off detoxes, it leads to binging exercise types when you work out too much and then not work out at all. And then we just name it bad habits, and we try to fight against them as well. But what I find and what I believe is bad habits and a lot of disease are not a sign of weakness. They're not something to be fixed. They're something to be explored, pay attention to, and learn. Because most of the time, this is a sign that there's a lack of integrity and understanding between the body and the mind. And when we follow the rules, and some of you, those of you who are type A personalities, you're very good at following the rules, at least for a period of time. Sooner or later, our body starts resisting as well. And usually, if you follow the rules that don't fit you for a long time, it starts resisting in a very loud ways, screaming ways, that usually turns into disease. So, I'll tell you a short story about my personal experience. I'm usually, at least I used to be really good at following the rules. As a oldest sister out of 3, I grew up to be very responsible. I always wanted to be perfect in everything. I always wanted to have my diet to be an example for everyone. I wanted my grades to be an example for everyone. I wanted to exercise more than everyone. And everything had to be by the book. I would look for the best advice. I would read the best articles. I would find out what people said worked best and try to do it. And after doing it I ended up with a few things that my body was trying to get my attention with. So by the time I graduated from my master's program, I didn't have my period for 9 months. I had psoriasis, and I had digestive issues. And all of that with having a really clean diet, exercising a lot, doing yoga every day, meditating every day. So when I came to the doctor, I was a picture of health. Just needed to use some steroid cream and take some hormone pills, and I would be perfectly fine. And this was the time when it kind of clicked to me that something doesn't fit, that maybe the doctor doesn't know my body as much as I thought he did. And that's when I started to slowly transform and give my body more and more trust. And I think for a lot of women, when we haven't done it all our life, it's a process. It's a process to let go of somebody's advice and say, well, maybe it's not right for me. Maybe my body needs something a little bit different. And maybe what another expert is saying is not going to fit my body as much as it did for him or her. So the transformation doesn't happen overnight. And I think it would be silly to expect it to happen overnight. It happens over time, and it requires rebuilding this relationship that we haven't paid attention to all our life. And as any relationship, and I'm sure if you have a relationship with your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriends, relationships require work. They require honesty. They require daily communication. And they require integrity. Because if there's no trust in the relationship, then it's not going to be a very happy one. So there are a couple of ways to do it. But before we get to the points that you can use at home to start reconnecting with your body, I would like you to just really believe or even allow for the possibility that your body can teach you something, that it's not only your mind who has to make the decisions, but sometimes your body needs to have the authority to make the decision. And that's usually when it comes to physical aspects. So Krista was mostly saying about leading your way in life and listening to your gut and listening to your body when it comes to big decisions. I'm talking about small daily choices. I'm talking about what you eat, how much you move, how much you drink. And the reason why it's important to do it is right now, if you think about it, the amount of time that goes into researching the articles, browsing online, looking for what to eat, why to avoid certain foods, stressing out with all the confusing, contradictory information. If you look at it, Esther Hicks was saying that she's really surprised that people can actually find anything to eat. Because there is a book written about every single food item that says that it's either good or bad. Dairy can be good, dairy can be bad. Soy can be good, soy can be bad. The same thing, vegan and paleo are completely contradictory. To make sense out of all of it, to read all those contradictory articles and opinions, and to actually choose what you believe takes up so much energy and time. And that energy, if freed up, can go to so many more things. It can go to being creative, to actually going and enjoying life instead of spending an hour choosing what to have for lunch. And maybe actually working on something that allows to bring inspiration and knowledge and light to other people. Because it's a lot easier to do it when you're in peace with yourself. When you're struggling with yourself, when you're trying to kind of make peace with everything that you find outside externally without paying attention to your internal wisdom, it does take up so much more energy, even if you don't realize it. So what I think the ideal scenario is not to ignore the external wisdom. That would be a waste of so much research, of so many experiences. But what I think a fair approach would be is to create a combination of external and internal wisdom. So you take the knowledge, the experiences of other people, and then you have an experiment, an honest experiment. You see if it works for you. You see if your body is happy following something or if it's not happy. And then based on that, you make a decision that you fully trust. And then it's going to be a little bit hard sometimes. There might be still that shade of doubt that will stay, and you'll have to redo the experiment a couple of times before you fully trust your body. And that's fine. Because this relationship hasn't been built since we were kids, it takes time to rebuild that trust. So it's going to happen step by step. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be like, okay, now I trust you. In the beginning, it might be that your body doesn't even talk that much. It might take time before you start hearing that voice. But what's necessary is to have that space and allow for the possibility that at some point, after all the abuse, after all the rules that you put on your body, at some point your body will actually want to communicate back. Because our body doesn't really have a choice. Our body got us as the owner, and it can't really leave the relationship. So our body has the interest to stay healthy. No matter how many times we abuse it, no matter how many rules we put on our body stays committed to the relationship. And I really believe that our body is naturally healthy and it wants to have energy and it wants to feel light. It probably knows how to get there. It's just a matter of reconnecting to that internal voice. And I guess the same as Krista mentioned, it's one of the similar concepts that I think any teacher you would mention in terms of reconnecting with your body and listening to your intuition. We need to slow down. We need to slow down and create that space. And it doesn't have to be that much time. All you need is a couple of minutes a day. And you'll be surprised how your body slowly will start giving you advice. And it's going to come in terms of thoughts, intuition, cravings. It's just a matter of paying attention and then following. So if you feel that weird craving for rice pudding like I'd had this morning, you try it, you follow it and see if it actually makes you feel good. And if it doesn't, then you don't do it anymore. But if it does, then the trust is going to start building. So to finish, I would like you to do another little exercise. So close your eyes and bring your right palm on your chest and your left one on your stomach. And just take a couple of really deep, slow breaths. And just feel the way your stomach and your chest move slowly. In a wave-like motion. And if there's any tension anywhere in your body, try to release it, let it go. Exhale it out. And just check in with your jaw, your shoulders. Make sure there's no tension there. And since you're not trying to impress anyone now, make sure that you're not sucking your stomach in. The stomach has that space to move and to allow you to breathe. So the diaphragm can come down and create enough space. And then in your mind, think of 3 adjectives, of 3 feelings that you would like to experience in your body. And it can be something general or very specific. If you've never done it before, most likely it's going to be something general, like feeling light, feeling feminine, feeling graceful. And if you've thought of it before, it might be something very specific, like I want to be strong, or it's a very personal thing, so I don't want to guide you. Just try to come up something that feels very right for you. And just imagine how it would feel to be in the body that feels this way. If you want, you can visualize yourself walking on the street or even sitting on this chair, feeling the... And then internally, without turning on your mind too much, ask your body a question. What can you do to support your body to move towards those feelings, to create those feelings in your day-to-day life? And if you start hearing your mind very clearly, try to let it go and bring your attention back to just your body, to the core. There might be something that comes up, or there might be nothing that comes up. If you've never done it before, again, it takes time to build that communication. So just allow for that space so you're listening. Just as you had a partner that you haven't spoken to in a very long time, it might take a little bit of time for the bad feelings to go away. And just be aware if something comes up in a thoughts or intuition. Take a note. Maybe something that you can do tonight or something that you can do tomorrow. And then before we finish, just a small thing to say to your body. You can say to your body that you will do your best to try and follow its guidance, its advice. You don't promise to be perfect, but you will do your best. And then 3 things that might be a little bit different to feel, but when you say them to yourself, try to actually feel the meaning of the words. Thank you. And you can add thank you for what? Please forgive me. And you can add forgive me for what? I love you. Take another 3 deep breaths. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So this is the exercise that I do every morning. And I would invite you to do it too. It doesn't have to be in the morning, whenever you have time. But take your time to connect with your body every single day, and you'll be surprised with how much guidance you'll get. Thank you.